What's up everyone, I'm Nick. This is Swiftful Thinking, where we cover all things Swift and SwiftUI related. And in this very fun video, we're gonna look at presenting multiple different sheets from a single view in our SwiftUI application. Now, if you were with me in the SwiftUI bootcamp, I already did a whole video on how to use the sheet modifier, the basics of how to use sheets. And in that video, I discussed how you should never use conditional logic in the closure of your sheet. And now the reason I'm doing a whole video on this specific issue is because it is probably the most common issue that I've seen on Stack Overflow from people who are learning SwiftUI. And the issue is very simple, that people use a sheet modifier, they try to add some conditional logic in the sheet, and then when they go to present a second or third screen, it's showing the wrong screen. So in this video, I'm gonna first walk you through that exact problem. So if you've experienced it before, or even if you've never experienced, you will know what not to do. And then we're gonna look at 3 different ways to very easily solve for this in our app.
All right, welcome back everyone. In our Xcode project, and like we always do, let's right click the navigator, create a new file. This one will of course be a SwiftUI view, and let's call this multiple sheets bootcamp. Go ahead and click create and click resume on the canvas to make sure we're all connected. And let's start out this video by setting up our screen here. Let's add a VStack with maybe some spacing of 20. Open the brackets, and inside the VStack we're going to add 2 buttons. Let's do button, open the parentheses. Let's use the title string protocol and action approach. The title, let's put button 1. On the action, click enter. And then I'm just going to copy this, paste it again, and this time I'll make it button 2. Try again on the canvas, make sure we're connected. We got our 2 buttons. And the whole point of this video is to show multiple sheets from one single screen. So when we click button 1, we want to present the sheet and go to screen 1. And then when we click button 2, we still want to go to a sheet, but we want to go to screen number 2 instead of screen number 1. And the reason I'm going over this is because I've seen so many people have problems with this. So let's start out by just addressing the problem. And to do that, we're first going to create a model at the top here. Let's create a struct, and we'll call this random model. Why not? Let's make this conform to identifiable, and then we'll open the brackets. And to conform to identifiable, we need an ID. So we'll say let ID, and we'll set it equal to a random ID. So UUID, open and close parentheses, dot UUID string. Just going to create a random ID for each model. And then very basic, let's just add a title. So we'll say let title of type string. All right, now in our view, let's create and at the top here, we'll create an @state var selected model of type random model. And we'll set this equal to start to a random model, and we'll give it a title of starting title. Why not? And when we click button 1, we want to update the selected model to a new model. So we'll say selected model equals random model. And we'll just say 1. And then when we click button 2, we'll say selected model equals random model. And this time we'll make the title 2. And then we want to present a sheet, because after all, this video is all about presenting sheets. So I'm going to add a .sheet modifier. We're going to use the isPresented and content. And I did an entire video in the SwiftUI bootcamp on sheets. So I'm going to assume that you already know how the basics of a sheet work. And what we're going to go through now is just more advanced ways we can use this sheet modifier, because it is a little tricky to use. So if you're not familiar with this sheet and this isPresented little logic here, I will link my original video in the caption below so you can get familiar with the basics of a sheet first. But if you are familiar, definitely keep on going here. And as you know, we need an isPresented boolean. So let's create an @state var show sheet of type bool, and we'll set this equal to false. And we'll bind it with the money sign show sheet. And then lastly, we need some content to present. And I'm going to create a new screen for this content. So at the bottom, underneath this struct, I'm going to create another new struct for a second screen. This will say struct. Let's call it next screen. Why not? We'll make it conform to view. Open the brackets. And every view we know needs a body. And we'll open the brackets again. I'm going to keep this really simple because I don't really care how these screens look. I just want to go through the sheet logic with you guys. So let's just add a text here. Let's just leave it a blank string for a second, and we'll give it a .font of large title. And when we are showing the sheet, we want to present the...
This is funny because this guy is back in the day when YouTubers were really worried about, they're self-conscious about their YouTube content, so they'd like, I did this too. You like over-explain. I think I even do it still a little bit today, but I shouldn't. You end up like over-explaining stuff that you don't need to explain, like it's pretty obvious that we don't need a special nice looking screen in the sheet, in the second sheet, or this sheet, or the second page, or whatever. But he's like, oh, I don't want to, we don't need like a nice sheet. That's why I'm doing this. So I just only want to, add this one in, add this like text in here. But you don't need to say that. Back in the day, mate.
the selected model. So in this next screen, I'm going to pass in as a variable, we'll say let selected model of type random model. And then the text will actually
I don't
be
know what the hell this
selected
random model stuff is.
dot title. All right, so this should not be anything new to you guys. We're just creating a very basic screen here. We're just with some text, and the text will be whatever the random model title is. So either 1, 2, or starting title. And in the content, we're going to present a next screen.
I swear he's never gone over random titles.
Open the parentheses and selected model. And now, of course, I can pass in the selected model here, and I'll pass this in. And the last thing we need to do is actually toggle the show sheet. So when we click button 1, we're going to update the selected model, and then we're going to say show sheet.toggle. When we click button 2, we're going to update the selected model and then show sheet.toggle. So if you've never done this before, you would probably expect that when we click button 1, the selected model is now going to say 1 instead of starting title. And then we're going to show the sheet, and when we click the show next screen, it's going to show us a selected model, which hopefully will have the title of 1. And if I run the simulator and I click on button 1,
run the simulator,
you'll see that it still says starting title because it does not work. And that's what I'm highlighting here. This approach is very, very close, but it actually does not work. And I want to note that if I run it one more time and I click maybe button 2, it doesn't work. And if I wipe it down and then click it again, it will work on the second time. So this really throws some people off because it seems like it's working some of the time, but it doesn't work all of the time. And the problem here is that the content for this next screen is being created as soon as this sheet modifier is added onto the screen. So when this VStack is drawn onto the screen, we draw this sheet, and that's at the very beginning as soon as we load the screen. And we know that when we load the screen, before we click any button, the selected model actually says starting title. And that's why when this content is created, it still says starting title. So again, if I start the simulator one more time and I click on button 2, it's still going to say starting title. That's because this content was created before we actually clicked on the button. And I'm going to show you one more way that does not work, so you don't have to copy me here, but I've seen a lot of people try to get around this problem by adding some if let, some conditional logic into this content. So I could do maybe at state var selected index of type int, and we'll set it equal to 0. And when I click button 1, we'll say selected index equals 1. And then for button 2, we'll do selected index equals 2. And then for the content, instead of just the next screen, we could do something like if selected index is equal to 1, next screen with a random model, and we'll give it 1. And then we can say else if selected index is equal to 2, and I can copy this and put this here, and we can do number 2, and then I can do else. So if it's not 1 or 2, we just do a next screen with a selected model, random model, and we'll say starting title. So this time we have some conditional logic inside the sheet, so that hopefully if we update the index to number 2, it's going to present us the next screen number 2. So I'm going to try again on the simulator quick. Let's reload it. This is not going to work. I'm doing this on purpose just to show you guys. If I restart the simulator and I click on number 2, it still shows the starting title. So even though we tried changing the selected index to 2 and then hopefully adding some conditional logic and presenting this number 2, this does not work either.
Endless errors.
And this is why in the first sheet video I kind of touched on the concept that I would avoid adding any logic inside this sheet closure whenever possible. Because again, this content is executing and it's being created as soon as the sheet is onto the screen. So when we first load our screen right now, the index is actually 0, so it's not 1, it's not 2, and we're going into this else closure here, so that's why we see the starting title at the bottom. And now that we've reviewed a couple different ways how this does not work, let's just jump into the solutions. And again, I've seen this question and people trying to execute something like this so many times on Stack Overflow and Udemy because this seems very logical, but of course it does not work. So I'm going to delete all of our conditional logic in here. Let's put our next screen back. I'm going to delete this selected index. We're not going to actually use it.
Does not work.
And up here as well.
And
we're going to go over 3 different ways to get this to actually work.
3 ways.
I'm going to put at the top here just a little comment.
Sheesh.
The first way we're going to do is use a binding. The second way we're going to use multiple dot sheets. And the third way we're going to do it is use the item approach. All right. So let's first start with the binding. And right now, again, this is the first way that we did it. We tried to update the selected model, show the sheet, and the selected model right now is not updating on this next screen. So if I click the resume button, I click on number 2, it still says starting title, which is where it started here. But what I could do is in the next screen, instead of having this be a constant, let selected model equal random model, I can make this binding so that if this variable changes, this state variable, it also gets updated in the next screen. So we can do instead at binding var selected model of type random model. And then all we need to do to update that, we just need the money sign to bind to the selected model. So that's simple. We were very close the first time. If I click resume on the canvas,
I might need to rewind this. I can't see what he's doing right now.
And I click on button 2, what do you know? It does now work.
So to create
and all we had to do was make this selected
my masterpiece
model
food.
binding.
Breakfast.
So that was a nice easy fix and definitely something I recommend doing in your apps if you need to. So that was the number 1 here. But a lot of times making this variable binding might ruin other things in this view. So if this view had a lot of complex logic in it and for some reason you needed a specific model, you couldn't use a binding model, maybe because you're using other components that required this model.
Might go back a little bit here.
Model equal random model, I can make a binding var select. If this variable changes, this state variable, it also gets updated in the next screen. So we can do instead at binding var selected model of type random model. And then all we need to do to update that, we just need the money sign to bind to the selected model. So that's simple. We were very close the first time. If I click resume on the canvas, and I click on button 2, what do you know? It does now work. And all we had to do was make this selected model binding. So that was a nice easy fix and definitely something I recommend doing in your apps if you need to. So that was the number 1 here. But a lot of times making this variable binding might ruin other things in this view. So if this view had a lot of complex logic in it and for some reason you needed a specific model, you couldn't use a binding model, maybe because you're using other components that required this model to be static so that it doesn't change, well, then this binding approach would not work. So let's look at other ways that we can solve this. And the next way we're going to look at is using multiple sheets. And when we do this, we actually don't need this to be binding anymore. So we're going to change this back to let. And this is going to throw an error, so I got to get rid of the money sign here. And this time, when we click on button 2, we're going to add our own sheet for button 2. So we'll do say dot sheet, and we'll use the is presented. And then we're going to create a second Boolean for this sheet specifically. So at state var show
One sec.
sheet 2 of type bool.
Hello. How to learn any computer language fast and effective? Study it every single day, like I did. Study it every day for a few hours a day. Don't use AI unless you're asking it a question like, how does this work? How would you do this? Yeah, if you use it to write your code, you won't learn. Some people learn by building projects, but I don't know. I'm not as much of a project builder as I am learning learning from someone, seeing someone do things and then doing it myself after that. I mean, obviously that's building afterwards, but like I learn from a lot of tutorials and stuff. So yeah, I mean the key is I've been only doing this for 6 months, and I'm about to start applying for jobs. So
Equals false. This will be money sign show sheet 2. And then the content here, the content for number 2 is always going to be this random model. So we're going to add next screen, open the parentheses. And the selected model, we're just going to create it right here. We'll say random model, open the parentheses, 2. So when we're using this approach, we actually don't need to update the selected model at all. I can comment it out here as well. And of course, when we click on button 2, we want to show sheet number 2. So show sheet 2.toggle. And I'm going to resume the canvas here. This is not going to work real quick, but I just want to point something out. So when I click on button 2, it should show sheet 2.toggle and then present this screen. But if I click on button 2, nothing is actually happening right now. And some of you might also run into this error with sheets. And the problem is that you can only have one sheet modifier per view hierarchy. So right now, this sheet is in the child hierarchy of this sheet. Okay, so this sheet is on this bracket here, and the second sheet is now a child of this master parent container. And the way SwiftUI sheets work is that you can only have one sheet per hierarchy. So the fact that this one is in the parent container of this one, it cancels it out. So this is the only working sheet in our view right now. But of course, this is not what we wanted to do. We wanted to present multiple sheets. So I'm going to highlight this master sheet here and comment it out. And on button number 1, I'm just going to add dot sheet, money sign show sheet. Let's use the first one. And then here we will do next screen, open the parentheses, random model, and the title will say 1. So now we can actually use 2 different sheets because they are the same level. They're not parent-child of each other. So while this one was in that parent container, the container on this one has nothing to do with the container on this one.
good morning, Crocodam. Morning. Thank you, Lewis. Doing it. We doing it.
So if I click resume now, we can see that if I click either of these, they will work 100% of the time. So if I click button number 2, it's always going to show me 2. If I click 1, it's always going to show 1 because these sheets are totally separate now, and this is working. So this is another great solution to the problem. Creating 2 sheets, all you have to do is make sure that they're not in the same hierarchy of each other. So if you had like one button on the top left to go to a profile and one button on the top right to go to settings, you could do it like this, and it would save you a lot of time and effort just to put 2 different sheets, as long as they are not in a parent-child hierarchy. Okay, so that's number 2 down. And now we're going to jump into the...
Is that not... Doesn't that produce issues too, though? I think it does. Pretty sure I've had issues doing that. Let's see how item works. I forget. I know item exists, but I forget how it works.
Third way. And the reason this third way could be better for some cases is because while this sheet and sheet works, we have to create a new @state variable for each one. So if we had like 100 different items or 100 different possible sheets, this could be really time consuming and annoying, and I
Oh
wouldn't
my
want to
god.
create show sheet a whole bunch of times. This is great if we have 2 or 3, but if we need to do like 5 or 10, it would just get annoying. So what I'm going to do is actually delete these 2 sheets that we just added, because we're not going to use those anymore for this third effort here.
I think item is more
And where we
versatile.
have this bottom master sheet on the VStack, I'm going to make a new .sheet. And this time we're going to use the item and
Item.
content completion. So normally we use the is presented and then we toggle a show sheet boolean. But this time we're going to use the item content. But this time, instead of updating a show sheet boolean for the is presented, we need end is optional. So if I
Oh.
scroll up, when we
Oh.
created this random model, we made it
More
identifiable.
powerful.
We gave it an ID. And now this selected model, let's just make this random model optional.
What's up, Wai Hong? Pretty good. In the next like few days, I'm gonna set myself up on Fiverr, so hopefully I can get some like I'm just gonna try and do some low level jobs. I don't know even what that means, but like just if anyone wants like a basic app, I could do that. We'll see. I have to do a little bit of research on that too. But man, if I can get that going, I can start doing that instead of Uber. Sheesh. I mean, apps are obviously harder than straight up delivering someone's order. So I don't know. I might have to charge like $100 an app. I feel like that's a reasonable price though, right? Should I charge $50 an app to start? I don't know. Maybe 100. 100 Australian dollars. Like $100 would be like maybe 120. That'd be like 4 hours worth of work. You think so? Well, I don't know then. What, like 400 maybe? Maybe 400 for an app?
By giving it a question mark. And we don't even need the starting title anymore, so I'm just going to set it equal to nil for now. And we are going to bind directly to the selected model. So we'll do money sign selected model.
Oh, so wait, let me guess. Let me guess. So depending on the value of the variable, that's the sheet that it shows. But how do you set that up
Because
properly?
we're binding to the selected model, we no longer need.
Okay, so I wouldn't have like a default price then, I guess. Maybe like a starting price of like, I don't know, 200?
The show sheet
Depends. Yeah, I guess it really depends, right? Like how much work's going to go into it. What do they want?
booleans at all, because there is no more is presented. So I'm going to delete these. While we're at it, we can delete this show sheet.toggle.
How
We
is
can
this?
delete this show sheet.toggle. And I'm just going to actually delete this bottom sheet here because we're not using it. And then of course we need a view to show when we update it. So we're going to press enter here. So just like we do on the for each loops, I'm going to delete this little bit of code here and just put a model in. So when we click on the selected model, it's going to provide us with the new model that has just been selected. So that's this model here. And the code in here is just going to be next screen, open the parentheses, and we'll just pass in that model.
Oh. Wait, what?
Model here. And the code in here is just going to be next screen, open the parentheses, and we'll just pass in that model.
So hold on. What did he do with the? Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me go back here. I swallowed some. Like breathed in some pepper in my mouth. That was weird. After I vibe coding for a month, I realized I need to pivot. After this app, I need to really study Swift code. AI can't help if you don't understand what it means. Exactly. Exactly. You're not gonna know if you're not gonna be able to figure it out if you don't know what's going on. If you don't understand it.
Conforms to identifiable, and by giving super so when we've been screen,
Right,
when
so
we
we're
click,
here.
and finally, of course, when we click on button 1, we just need to update that selected.
Dude, I'd highly recommend this guy's courses, Swiftful Thinking. Um they're just super like specific, and he just goes through a ton of topics over a few different playlists, so I think you'll like it.
Model. Click on button 2, update to number 2. And so now using this item completion, I can resume my canvas.
Oh wait, so the model is the value. Wait. Wait a second. Where's random model title? Wait, how does this work exactly? What? How does this actually work?
A sheet.
Because he makes a struct over here. Oh, it has a select. Right. Okay. Yeah. Wait. So the next screen has a selected model. Oh, this is some fuck, man. Sometimes coding is like Inception. I'm reading Inception. I'm trying to figure out how Inception actually works.
Not work.
I
You'll see that it,
swear this is Inception right now. So he's got a okay, he has a screen that he has to pass in a model. I don't know what random model is, so maybe that's what's throwing me off. But he has to pass in something. And then he decides, well, so when you do it, you like put the screen and then that variable, that property, and then you pass in the thing. So at the end, he's just passed in that model, which is the changing factor of this item. And when it gives a value, it activates and shows. Wait. It it literally works like Inception. No, I think no, because I'm pretty sure this is with all coding, is it not? Maybe it's just Swift. It's literally Inception right now. So okay, he's got the screen. Then he's got a state variable here, which is select model of type random model. So wait. So this is bound to this, which I get. And then provides an identifiable hash value, which can change, I guess. So when he SwiftUI, you pass this to that, then pass that to another view, and voila, done. Voila! Sorry, I just had to show you up in that moment to show my my English prowess. hold on. So he's bound to the state variable, obviously. Oh, this fucking happens every time because these coders. I get it. I get it. Everyone does this. Even I do it sometimes, but like they don't name these things particular too specifically, so that like they just reuse the names over and over and over again. So you get confused, like what is what? What selected model is what selected model? So now I'm seeing, okay, so he's binding the selected model state variable in this struct here to the sheet, right? That's the item that's changing. So in the buttons, those will update that binding. And I guess when that binding changes, because this is almost like an on change modifier with the sheet thing, it's weird. Then that model, which is that a change, I guess, or a version, like every one of those selected models that changes, I suppose, because it's monitoring it, gets passed into the sheet that gets activated when that changes. What throws me off though is that's not Aussie English. Wait, voila. Moit. Good eye, Moit. What I don't understand is, oh, okay. So it's just the fact that when selected model updates, it just triggers the. It triggers the. Oh fuck, that's so weird. It triggers the sheet. It triggers the sheet to activate, and immediately passes in title. The title to random model. Random model equals. What is this title anyway? What is this title? I don't know. Something is missing here
Let's use the title
for
string
me.
protocol and action approach.
Jonathan. Hello. Yes, there's a lot of ways to do a sheet view. This one specifies that we may have a bunch of items. Whenever it's nil, we don't show the sheet. When the value is non-nil, you specify view. Okay. So, first of all, thank you for that. So, here we're obviously setting it to not nil, right? The title, where does the title come from? Is that just part of a random model? I don't know what random model is. Oh, wait, did he create the random model? Hold on. Maybe I'm confused at what he's done here. Maybe I'm oh, yeah, he did. Okay, sorry. He made this. I'm an idiot. Like, what is random model? Where's this fucking thing? View the function of some value. Okay. Okay, so right. So he created the random model with the title that has the title, and he's passing in the title. So it's of this type of this model here. That makes more sense now. So when I look at this, I see that he's changing the value of the model title. I mean the model's title, right? Because he's added the title. So when the value changes, it then has a value and the sheet activates because the value has been passed also at the same time immediately into the screen that it wants to show. which takes a random model, which this is a random model, which this is a random model. So that goes into there. Okay. Jesus. Yeah, with that sheet initializer, as soon as it passed in binding, it's non-nil. The sheet will appear showing you provided with the value it passes. Okay. Thank you. It's funny because I think my brain is just seeing this like, how could it do everything so fast? Oh, thanks for your subscription, Akshay. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I'm just like,
When we
whoa.
click on button 1, we just need to update that
I was definitely thrown off in the first place though, because I didn't realize. I must have missed the part where you made a random model because I was cooking earlier.
selected model. Click on button 2, update to number
Yeah,
2.
absolutely. There's a million
And so
ways to do
now
everything.
using this item completion, I can resume my canvas, and you can see how clean and short our code is here. And if I click on button number 2, it should hopefully show us number 2. And that's because anytime you update this selected model now,
I feel like I want to do some practice with that.
so all we need to do is set this selected model to anything, and it's going to present us another screen. And this is actually super handy because it's pretty scalable. So for example, if I added in here a for each, and we did maybe data or 0 ... less than 50, click enter. Let's make this the index. And I'm just going to take this button code, put it here in the for each loop. Let's delete the second one. Let's make the button title have button, and then we'll do the
Index.
backslash open close parentheses index.
Okay.
So we can see all the indexes.
Okay.
And then when we have the selected model, we'll say random model
Title index.
Instead of just saying 1 for now, let's just put X. It's not perfect, but you're going to get the gist here. And finally, this is going off the screen. So let's put the whole thing in a scroll view. Now you can see that if I click on any of these, number 36, we can go to screen number 36. So this is super scalable because now we have all of these different.
I love this. I love this.
If I click on number
10,
I
want to incorporate this every time. The item one is the best one.
It works, and it works every time.
No issues.
So this would become very useful if maybe you had like a list of profiles or something, and you wanted to pass in a user instead of this just model. Well, you could have
the
that
user.
Profile
I fight
view
for the
and then
user.
Pass in a user for all of the different
You guys
users.
know that?
All right, everyone, that's it for this video.
Holy moly, that was...
Have never run into that sheet problem.
That was Inception for a while.
Just scratching your head here, kind of wondering why I went into this in so much detail. But I have seen this problem over and over
Thank
and
you,
over again as
you
people try to
freaking
make
genius,
applications.
Nick.
So I just really wanted to touch on a couple different
And thank
ways
you, Jonathan.
To handle presenting multiple sheets from a single view. I hope this video was helpful. I hope this helps someone out there so that you don't post it on Stack Overflow, because I've seen it on Stack Overflow 1,000 times, and I've seen people struggling, just scratching their head. Why is this not working?
Stop posting on Stack Overflow.
Well, here's the solution.
You're overloading Stack Overflow.
All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. As always, I'm Nick. This is Swivel Thinking.
Oh, he said, like, don't go post on Stack Overflow. That's so funny. All right, now that we figured that out, let's go to a new one. How to use .mask. All right, I've never seen this, so this is great. Thank you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I'm Nick. This is Swiftful Thinking. In this quick video, we're going to look at the mask modifier. Now, this is a little less common, but it's a lot of fun. It's really useful, so I wanted to introduce you guys to it quickly. What we're going to do is build a quick little rating component where we can rate something from 1 to 5 stars. You've seen this in so many applications, but we're going to look at how to use it with a mask modifier so that we can animate the mask on top of the actual view.
And
if you're
the mask,
with masking, it's actually pretty simple. Basically, we have one view that is on the bottom, then another view that's on the top, and then we can mask the top view so that it conforms to the same shape as the bottom view. So in this video, we're going to have a bottom view with some stars, and the top view, which is going to be a rectangle, and we're going to mask that rectangle to take the shape of the stars. It sounds a little complicated, but it's actually pretty easy to implement.
What?
We're going to walk through it. I'm going to make it as easy as
You can
possible for
do
you
that
guys.
in
The end
this?
product here is definitely a usable component that you could definitely use in your production apps. I'm excited. I hope you're excited.
In what
Let's take a look.
scenario would you use this?
Welcome back, everyone.
It's like, yeah, just get rid of all your photo editing software now. Just use
In
Swift.
Xcode, of course. Let's right-click the navigator, create a new file. It's going to be a SwiftUI view. Let's call this one Mask Bootcamp. Go ahead and click Create. And once you're inside, click Resume on the canvas. Let's get coding. This is going to be a fairly simple, easy video. This is not something that you use a lot, but I wanted to just briefly cover it because not a lot of people know about it, and it's pretty powerful in SwiftUI. So let's start out our view here very simply. Let's create a Z-stack.
Oh, guys, I don't want to go to work today. Should I skip it?
Let's add a H-stack. Inside the H-stack, let's add a image with a system name. Let's give it a star.fill. Make it a little
probably skip a little bit forward here.
We're going to do from click enter the image with our screen.
Slam
and we're just going to build out a little rating indicator that you've seen on so many apps. So when there's a rating, I want it to be highlighted up to that rating. So if it was maybe 3 stars, I want the first 3 stars to be yellow and then the last 2 would be gray instead of them all being gray. So let's do an @state var. Let's call it rating of type int. And right now, let's just set it equal to 3. And first, let's do this the beginner way without the mask. And we'll change the foreground color based on the rating. So we'll say,
yeah, I want to.
Let's start with if rating.
Maybe I will. I already worked yesterday and I got
a
few more shifts this week.
So remember, this index is
I can skip
the same
today.
number as the star number. So index 1.
Fuck, I also have so much shit to do as well.
4, 5.
Like,
so if the rating is equal to the index, so if the rating is 3 and the index is 3, question mark, we'll do color.yellow. Otherwise,
this is one of the reasons why I really want to get started earning money from this, because I need to stop. I can't do literally everything. And like, one of the biggest things I have to do is work on my business, which is separate to this. So I've got my business that's not making any money. I've got coding that's not making any money. And coding takes a lot of time, and I'm neglecting my business. But I love coding, so I'm willingly neglecting my business. Because I want to do coding. And then I have to do Amazon and Uber to make real money. Because nothing's actually making me money, except YouTube slightly now. But, you know, that's definitely not enough, as you can see on the screen. Yeah, so sorry for the rant.
Color.gray. If I look at the canvas, I'm going to zoom out here a little bit just to make this bigger. And if you look at the canvas, we can now see that the middle star is yellow because the rating is 3 and that index is 3. But we want it to actually be all of these stars up to and including
rating equals index. Wow. Okay. That was a powerful move. Hi there, what tutorial are you using? I'm using Swiftful Thinking. He's a genius. Nick. Yeah, sorry, I think you maybe can't see it on the screen. Hold on. It's... Oh, you still can't see it. It's... You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna type it in the chat. Actually, I'll just give you a link. You can find all his stuff there. It's really good. Try that. Enjoy.
number 3. So we could just change this rating to greater than or equal to the index. So now we have
so when greater
stars.
than,
if I change this to 2 stars.
When you got to put that invisible when rating is greater than or equal to index, make the color yellow, otherwise make the color gray.
This should update. 2 stars, we can make it 4 stars. and click resume.
That's a fucking power
So
move
all
that
we
he
need to
made
do is
right
change the
there. Look
rating,
at that.
and then we'll change the number
That's
of
a
the
power
stars.
move.
So we'll add an on tap gesture. And when we tap on a star, let's just set the rating equal to the index. So if I click resume and I start clicking around here, we can now change the rating, and this works perfectly.
Wait. Oh,
If I zoom in here and I really look
Omega power move right there. Did you see that?
at this though,
What a power move.
you'll see that when I click from 1 star to 5 stars, it jumps to 5 stars. And it jumps to 3 stars. It jumps to 1 star. It doesn't like animate to 5 stars. So this looks fine, and a lot of apps are probably fine with this UI. But we're practicing here to be expert developers, and we can make this look even better by using a mask instead. So I'm going to start by making this entire H stack a variable. So underneath the body, we'll do private var.
No.
We'll call this stars view of type sum view. Open the brackets. I'm just going to cut this H stack here, paste it into the stars view, and I'll add a stars view, which is that same view, back up here. Let's click resume. Should still work, looks the same. Let's take the logic out of here and just leave this back to color gray. So all the stars are always gray. So what we're going to do on the stars view is add a dot overlay. And now I did a whole video on overlays, so you should understand how they work. It's basically a view that is going on top of this view. And we can see right now it just says placeholder.
I understand
overlays,
overlay yes.
Content, let's make
I
it
certainly do.
rectangle. And the rectangle is black right now, and it's covering all of the stars. And what we can do is take this rectangle and mask it to the stars view so that the rectangle takes the shape of the stars view. So on this rectangle, I can call it dot mask. And then we need a masking view here, and I'm going to pass in stars view. And now our black rectangle, so if I comment this out, we have a black rectangle. If I add the mask, that rectangle masks into a black box that basically looks like the stars.
Okay, I'm smiling because this is cool.
Foreground color of dot yellow.
That's really cool.
We can now get our yellow stars back.
Yo!
And now we just need to update the width of the rectangle so that it is as wide as basically the rating needs to be. So if it was 1 star, we want the width of the rectangle to be 1/5 of the full size. So if I take out this mask and we just look at it again, right now it's 100% of the size. And we know there are 5 stars. So if we had a rating of 4, we would want this rectangle to be 4 out of 5, 4/5 of its current size.
Right.
And because we don't know its current size, we need to use a geometry reader here. So I'm going to delete this mask real quick. And let's first add a geometry reader.
Okay.
Open the brackets.
Geometry reader in.
And I just did a video on geometry reader a couple videos back. If you missed it, definitely go watch that. We did a lot of really cool stuff in there. And this is another example of why the geometry reader is so powerful. Inside the geometry reader, we're going to add a Z-stack. And the reason we're adding a Z-stack is because I want to use the alignment and make it dot leading. Because I want to always push the rectangle to the left side of these stars. And that's where I want it to start from.
Okay.
So dot leading, open the brackets, and then let's put the rectangle on the foreground color inside.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back. We still have a yellow rectangle, and now let's just adjust the width of the rectangle using the geometry. So here we'll say dot frame, and we'll add width, and let's start it equal to maybe 200, just so you can see that now we can change the width of this rectangle. If I put it to 100, try again, it now gets a little smaller. All right, and so we're just going to change the width based on the rating. And we want the width to be the current rating, so 4 divided by 5, because we know there are 5 slots here, and then times the full width. So if it was 4/5 of the full width. So what we can do is rating divided by 5 times geometry.size.width. And we're gonna get a quick error here because this rating
Quick error.
is of type int, and we actually need it to be a CG float. So let's just add CG float and then put the rating inside there. So now we can see that the rectangle is filling up the correct amount because we have 1 star remaining. If I change this rating to 2 and update the simulator, or sorry, the preview on the canvas, we should now see that the rectangle is covering 2 of the stars.
Damn.
And now that we have our rectangle working, this
Really good.
overlay view, let's create another variable to hold that. So we'll create a private var. Let's put the geometry reader, and then we can put this back here. So it should look the exact same. And then finally, all we need to do is mask this overlay view to the stars view. So we'll call it dot. So we'll add dot mask stars
view. Wow.
All right. And I'm gonna make this look a little cleaner because we have a bunch of lines here. So this just needs to be 1 line. I'm gonna make this all 1 line. So our code is so nice and clean and short. I absolutely love it.
I love clean
and
code.
now all we need to do is update for that animation. So let's set the rating back down to 0, and let's resume the canvas. And if I start clicking on some of these stars, you gotta click play on the live canvas. And if I click number 1, it now highlights yellow, and we're using the mask. And if I go to 3, it should update. And if I go to 5, it should update. But now we have one quick problem. If I go back down to number 3, it doesn't let me click it. And that's because when we're clicking on it now, we're actually clicking on the overlay layer because that's on top of the stars view layer.
Oh, right.
So the problem is that the tap gesture is on the stars view. And since we have an overlay, we're not actually tapping on the stars view, we're tapping on the overlay.
Can you add the on tap to the overlay?
We could add another tap gesture here, but there's actually a better solution, and that is to basically just remove the ability for users to click on the overlay layer.
Oh.
So on this geometry reader, I'm going to add .allows hit testing. And if I read that, let me go back. Allows hit testing configures whether this view participates in hit test operations. Basically means allowing users to click on it.
That's new for me.
False.
Damn.
Now users cannot click on the overlay layer, but they will still be able to click on the stars view because it will go. This will basically be transparent.
Go on then. Start tapping.
I want to update this tap gesture so that when we update the rating, we do it with animation. So let's do with animation here.
I figured that was what he was gonna do.
And now we have our complete code.
That's it.
And I want to refresh this.
I'm gonna
zoom in here. Hopefully you guys can see how cool this is. This is a very professional looking rating animation now. When I click it, it animates from the left to the right. And fills in the stars. So our mask layer is basically changing the width, and this looks really, really professional.
Oh, that's so good.
So with this, I hope you guys see how cool this mask
That's so good.
We just added 5 stars on the first layer. Then we added a rectangle on the top, and we masked the rectangle to the bottom.
How would you get it? How would you get it to half stars?
Animating that rectangle on top so that it goes from smaller to.
That'd be a bit harder.
I think it is just awesome. You can do some really cool things with this. For example, these stars, when you add a foreground color, you can only add one very basic color, like the gray color. But since we're using a rectangle for the overlay, we can actually customize that rectangle. And if you followed my video on rectangles, you can add all kinds of cool gradients in there. So where we have this foreground color of yellow, instead of making it a foreground color, we can do .fill. And I'm going to add maybe a linear gradient. Open the parentheses, left, ending on the right. And I did a whole video on gradients, so you can do that on your own time. But if I resume this now, we have this really cool red to blue. So you can play around with this and get some really cool
That's a little bit weird, but
a little bit of lines of code. Now that you know how to use
that was good. That was good.
All right, everyone. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm Nick.
Oh, sound effects. I freaking need this for my startup. Fuck. I need this. Oh, the next one is going to be good. How long is it, though? 15 minutes. Fuck. What do I need to do? before. Ugh. Fuck, I don't want to work today. But then what am I gonna do? I gotta do some stuff at my parents' house. Gotta paint some walls. I don't think today. I just gotta collect some paint. Maybe I'll just do Uber tonight instead of Amazon in the day, because Amazon really kind of fucks everything up. It's like in the middle of the day where I have time to do shit. Yeah, I might just cancel and do Uber. Oh, but then I don't make as much, probably. It's Tuesday. Ah. Well, I worked yesterday. Fuck it. I'm gonna cancel it. But that does mean I do need to still go. I should go and do everything that I need to do today as well. But then that means I can come back earlier. Oh no, but then I have to. Oh, everything sucks. Maybe I just don't work at all today. Maybe today's a zero work day. I mean, this is work. This is work. I count this as work. Maybe I'll do some research on some Fiverr stuff. I'm so torn right now because. What the hell is this? Huh? What is going on here with some weird payment? All right, one more. This is gonna be really interesting. What the heck is this? Huh.
What is up, everyone? I'm Nick. As you probably already know, this channel is Swiftful Thinking, where we cover all things Swift and SwiftUI related. And in this video, we're going to look at adding sound effects to our application. Now, the logic for these sound effects is actually not technically SwiftUI.
Just asking my fiance if she needs me to do anything today because I'm not working.
It's kind of just Swift related.
She asked me if I was working this morning, and I said yes. And then she's like, "Oh, okay." She didn't tell me why she asked me. She never really asked me unless she wants something done. So.
But a lot of people that are taking my courses are beginners in Swift in
Did you say
general,
courses?
related. But a lot of people that are taking my courses are beginners in
Courses.
Swift in general, and knowing how to add sound effects to your app is definitely very important. So we're going to take a look at how to add a very, very simple sound effect to our app when we click a button.
All right, so we're back in our Xcode project, and let's right click on the navigator, create a new file. This will be a SwiftUI view, and let's call this Sounds Bootcamp. Go ahead and click create. Once you're inside, click resume on the canvas. And let's get coding. And to start off this video, let's set up our screen, which is going to be super simple. We're going to have a VStack, open the brackets, and we're going to have two buttons. Let's do a button here, and let's use the string protocol with an action. And this will say play sound. Let's click enter on the action.
I just saw a notification on Reddit. Someone like in all caps wrote, "I applied to 50." This is not specifically dev related, but they're like, "I applied to 50 plus jobs, and out of all of them, I got 2 interviews. What am I doing wrong? I still don't get a job. It's been 6 months." You know what? I actually like I had the same issue before. I think it's just the job market right now. It's like I think a lot of people, even though maybe they say they're hiring, but they're not hiring, or it's just luck or something. But like, I also applied to tons of jobs one time, and no one would hire me. And then my fiance was like, "What's wrong with you?" or "What's wrong with your resume?" or something. And like, I, it's funny because like, as soon as I got a recommendation to interview me from her, actually, my fiance, she was working at she was working what was she doing? Well, she had a job. Was it H&M or something? She was working retail, and uh I was like, oh no, she told me they're hiring. So then she like just said to them like, oh well, my my boyfriend is interested. Could he apply? And then they're like, yeah, just have him apply through the like the portal, or the application portal, whatever, online. Send the resume. And then they took me in, and I think it's because they knew who I was. Like, it's surely because they knew who I was, I got the job. Like, I knew in less than a week that I got the job. So, like, I think the job market right now is hiring people that they know now, more so rather than new people. I think the trust level has gone down, especially in Western markets, Western job markets. Like, the trust is way down in like who can actually do the job well and who will do the job. In places like Asia, like Japan in particular, like no way this it would be like this. You'd get a fair chance straight away because any Japanese like automatically assumes that you, as perhaps an employee, as a Japanese employee, if you're Japanese, will do the job to the best of your ability, because every Japanese does every job to the best of their ability, and they're like masters at their craft, no matter what craft it is, be it like serving tea to uh like welding car lug nuts. It's like the better you like it's easier, I think, to get a job in Eastern society than it is Western. I think it's all about who you know, and that used to be that is true for like Hollywood and stuff. That's always been true for Hollywood. As soon if someone knows you, you get pulled or picked because they're like, oh yeah, that guy. I can think of like anyone they think of. They're like, oh yeah, I'll pull that guy or that guy or that guy. They'd be perfect for this. They can imagine someone as doing something. I think that's just bled into every market now. Whoever they think of that could do the job, or they just don't want to do interviews anymore. They don't want to waste time on it. They don't want to go through the hiring process anymore. They just want to find someone good and bring him in and let it go. Done.
We'll leave it blank for a second, and then we're just going to copy this and paste it one more time, because we're going to have two different sounds.
Ooh, this is
So we'll say play
exciting.
sound 1, play sound 2.
I wanted to learn this.
All right, let's give this VStack a little bit of spacing, maybe 40.
I wish I
just
could
to
get paid to learn.
space out the buttons. And to manage our sounds, we're going to create a class. So at the top here, I'm going to create a class, and we're going to
I
call it
can. I actually can get paid to learn, but I can't get paid to learn this, I think. In particular.
Sound
Unless
Manager.
I find some sort of online Swift course that's like an official course that I pay for.
And then we'll open the brackets.
Sound
And if you've
Manager.
been following my courses so
Now this
far,
feels
most
complicated.
of the
We got a
time when we
class
create a
going.
Sound Manager, we make it conform to observable object. And then we would initialize it in the view with
Shut
an
up with the
@state
observable object
object,
already.
var, and we would say Sound Manager, and we'd set it equal to a new Sound Manager.
Oh, let's get comfy here.
So the reason we
Oh.
normally use this @state object and @observable object is because when things change in this class, and usually it's a published variable that we create, when things change, we need that view to actually update automatically. And that's why we make it observable, so the view can observe it and change accordingly. But when we create our Sound Manager, we're
So much
actually
dust in
not
here.
going to have anything in our Sound Manager that changes the view. So because of that, we don't need to actually observe it, and we don't need to make it observable.
Great, I said shut up
So I'm going
about
to
that.
delete this observable object, and I'm going to remove this @state object.
Great. Get rid of it.
And to go one step even further,
Why is he breathing
right now,
like that?
if we leave this code here, we are going to initialize a new Sound Manager every time we go to the Sounds Bootcamp view. And then if we wanted to use a Sound Manager on another view, we could then initialize another Sound Manager. But there's actually going to be nothing in the Sound Manager that is unique to this view. So when we have a Sound Manager class, we're going to make it generic so that we can use it on any screen in our app across our entire app. And because of that, it's actually more efficient. Instead of initializing a new Sound Manager in the view, we're going to create something called a singleton. And up here, I'm going to type static let instance equals Sound Manager. Open and close the parentheses. And what this is doing, this is creating a single instance of the Sound Manager. So we are initializing it once right here. And then every time we want to use our Sound Manager, we're going to access it through this instance. This way we create it once for our entire application instead of initializing a new one on every single screen. So there's a lot of talking just to get to this one line of code, but now we have our Sound Manager and we have an instance created. And let's add some functions into the Sound Manager to actually play some sounds. And the first thing we need to do is actually import a new framework. We're going to import AVKit. And this comes with Xcode by default. And
Brand new.
It's from Apple. And the A stands for audio, the V
From
stands
Apple?
for video.
Yes.
Audio Video Kit. And in this kit is a bunch of really handy components that we can use to play sounds and videos on our app. So the first thing we need to do is create a variable to hold something called an AV player. So we'll say var.
I've seen AV player before. I've heard of it.
Of type AV audio player. And let's just make it optional for now. So this is our AV player, and you could think of that kind of as like your iTunes or like a Walkman. So it plays music, but now we need to tell it what to actually play. So let's create a func called play sound.
It's kind of fun.
Close parentheses, open the brackets. And the main thing we need to do in this function is set up our player. So we'll say player equals AV audio player. We're initializing a new one here. We'll open the brackets, and then we have a couple completions, and we're looking for the contents of completion. And the two things to note here is one is that we need a URL where the audio file is actually saved. And the second thing to note is that it throws, which means it can throw an error. So we need to handle any thing.
Sorry, I got distracted by an important message.
We'll open the brackets, and then we have a couple completions, and we're looking for the contents of completion. And
wait, I'm gonna get a drink. Let me get a drink. This is awesome. I want more. I'm having some ginger ale. Can't open the bottle. Woo! Okay, and before I forget and fuck up everything, I gotta quickly cancel my Amazon shift before they like say, "You didn't cancel, you're banned." Blah blah blah. You're banned from working for us. Blah blah blah. Shut up, Amazon. There you go. I've still got 3 more shifts this week, so that's fine. All right.
Things to note here is one is that we need a URL where the audio file is actually saved. And the second thing to note is that it throws, which means it can throw an error. So we need to handle any case where we get an error. So let's click the
Oh,
contents
there's a
of here,
bug.
and
I
we're going to
killed
need
it.
a URL. So let's set up a URL here. We'll say let URL equals, and we actually don't have any sounds or URLs just yet. So right now I'm just going to create a blank URL, and I'm just going to use the string completion. Let's just leave it a blank string. And this is and creating these URLs is optional, so we're just going to wrap it in a guard let URL equals that else return.
What is happening to his
We're going to
code?
update this URL in a second, but let's pass this URL into here. We're going to
Okay.
get one more error message that this call can throw, and it is not marked with a try.
You gotta mark with.
So
Yeah.
all we need to do is put it as try, because we're going to try to set up an audio player. And then we need to catch all of the errors that are thrown from this. So to do that, we just create a do, open the brackets, we put all of our do statements inside, and then we catch the errors. So we'll do catch and then open the brackets. And we can actually say catch.
I like how he does this super simply. Like you literally just like do the basic stuff, and then when you get to the errors, you add extra, add on top of that. Like add the guard first, add the let URL, then add the guard after, then first make the player, then add the do try catch later. I love that.
Error, and this would create a variable for the error that would catch here. And we can print that out. We can print and say error playing sound. And then I will do a backslash open close parentheses. And
Hold on, I realized I can make my view a bit bigger for you guys. Not that you probably care that much, well that much, but yeah, I can go a little bit bigger there. Should be good. I can even hold on. There you go. That's probably fine, right?
we'll print out the error
Bit better.
dot localized description. So if there's an error, it will just tell us this and then print out the actual error.
His screen
And
seems
we
small.
need
Is it just
one
me?
more line of code here. So after we set the player with that new sound file, we just need to call player.play. And it is optional, but we know it won't be optional if this succeeds because we're setting it here. So we can just leave this as is and it will play. And the final thing we need to do is just update this URL. So I'm going to download some sound files from the internet. I'm going to link the URLs in the caption below if you want to use the same sound files that I'm using. I just went to this website called Free Sounds Library.
Oh, wait a second. I just realized the screen already is bigger when I hide this. My bad. Wait, no, it's not though. Oh, wait. It is, but it's not. Wait, why? Oh, you're missing some visuals on the side there. Just noticed. Whoops. Whoops. My bad. There you go. That should be better.
.com. I'm not affiliated with them at all. And the URL I'm at right now is backslash tada.
So is he downloading them or is
sound.
he
And on this website is
Do
basically
you
just
have
a
to use
bunch
a
of free audio
URL?
sounds that you can use.
Or
And
can
it's
you
really
just...
nice. You are allowed to use this sound free of charge, royalty free in your products. So it's a nice, just handy website to know about to get some free sounds. So I'm going to use this ta-da sound, and I'm just going to, let's play it first. Nothing special here. Let's download that
Nothing
MP3.
special here.
And then I'm going to go to one more page, which is freesoundslibrary.com/bottom-ts. And
Okay.
I'm just going to play this sound and then download this one as well.
It played again.
So
Okay.
I'll link both of those in the comments below if you want to use the same sounds. But any sound audio file that you have that is .mp3 will work for what we're doing.
What's with the images?
And once you have them all downloaded,
Ta-da!
we just need to get them into our application. So I have them saved on my desktop right here, and it's tada-sound.mp3 and bottom-ts.mp3. I'm just going to rename these just to make it a little easier
Just
here.
call
And
sound
I'm
one.
make this first one just called tada, all lowercase. And the second one just going to be bottom, all lowercase. And we don't need to rename it, but it's just a little bit easier. And then we got to bring these into our app.
Okay.
So first, in our app here, let's right-click on the navigator. Let's create a new group. Let's call this Sounds. And then in this Sounds folder, I'm just going to drag and drop both of these sounds right on into this folder. Now it's important when you get to this screen that you do copy items if needed. This will copy them into your project. Let's keep create groups and make sure that you add to target, which means we're going to actually embed them into this application. So make sure this is checked. Click finish. And now you should have both of these here. And if you click on them, you should be able to play them straight through Xcode. So if I press this play button at the bottom, that one works. That one works as well. And now we can jump into our Sounds Bootcamp. Instead of this blank URL, we're going to access this bottom and this tada URL in our application. So to do that, let's delete this URL, and we're going to call bundle, which is the bundle of our app, .main.url for resource with extension. And I will make this a little bit bigger here so it's easier to see. All right. And for resource, this is just the name of the file. So we have tada.mp3 and bottom.mp3. Let's do tada first. So I'm just going to literally type in tada as a string, and the extension as a string is .mp3. This is not rocket science, guys. We're literally just referencing the exact URL that we want.
Okay, so URL just...
So when we click play sound, it's going to create the URL.
Uniform Resource Locator. This is weird, right? Is it just me? It's weird.
For this tada. Then it's going to try to put that URL into the audio player and then play it. All right, let's open up our canvas. And when we click on play sound 1, we're going to play that tada. So down back in our view, when we click on play sound 1, let's add some logic here. So as I mentioned before, when we access this sound manager, we're going to do it through this instance. We're not going to create a new sound manager. We're going to use this one. So I will call sound manager dot instance, and then I press the dot, and then we can access everything in that class, and we're just going to call play sound. Let's click play on the simulator. If I click play one, it plays. So that was
Nice.
pretty simple to add.
Nice.
And now if we want to
That's
do
great.
bottom as well, all we really need to do is change this tada here to bottom, and it would play the other resource. So I could create another whole function, one function to play the tada and one function to play the bottom. But instead of that, we're going to create an enum and then pass in which sound we want to play each time. So we'll create an enum, we'll call it sound option, and we will open the brackets. We'll have case tada and case bottom. And when we use this tada, we want to be able to reference a string version of it. So to do that, all we need to do is make the enum conform to string. So now there's a string version of this, and we can explicitly change the string if we needed to. So if this needed to be like tada underscore sound, we could make it so that this is the string version of this case. But in Swift, if you don't explicitly say this, the string version will be the exact same as this, which is exactly
really
what we
good.
need, because this tada is the exact same as this tada.
Really good.
So now we're just going to take this sound option and pass it into our play sound. We'll say sound of type sound option. And for resource, we're just going to, instead of the tada, we're going to type in sound dot raw value. And the raw value is going to be the string version of tada or bottom. All right.
Nice.
Going back on down to our code. When we call play sound, it's now looking for a sound. So we'll press the period. We're going to use the tada. And then for the number 2, we're going to call sound manager dot instance dot play sound bottom.
I love that. I love that.
So let's resume the canvas.
Love it. So much dust. Oh my god.
Make sure these both work.
Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from?
Seems like they're both working perfectly. All right, guys, I'm going to zoom out here just so you can see all that code together. But this was actually a pretty easy video in terms of the code. It was mostly just me talking, but we created a sound manager. We created a singleton class, which is a single instance of the sound manager that we can use throughout our entire app. So whether we're on this view or on another view, we just need to call sound manager.instance. Inside the sound manager, we created an enum with all the options for our sounds. And then we have a quick little function to get these sounds from our bundle and then play them. All right, guys, that's it for this video.
That was
Hope you enjoyed it.
absolutely enlightening. I loved that. Thank you, bro code. Thank you. Thank you, man. All right, guys. I have to actually head off. Get some shit done. That's not work, but I will definitely be back later because I'm not gonna work today at all. I just can't be fucked. This is too important for me. I know I need money, but like I've got a few other days this week, and I've also got Uber as well, and if I need any time. So yeah. Yep. Feel free to subscribe. Also, if you want to join the Discord, we have a link in the description. We're fleshing it out. We're fleshing it out still, but so far it feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. Bow, 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 bow. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. We've pretty much got like we've got 44 people in there right now. Speaking of, I might change the icon of the Discord. So I've got this new DedSec theme going. I love it because it's like a Watch Dogs style. Um, but I don't know how I want to do it. I don't know. I have the Swift. I have just the basic Swift icon there now. I don't know. I'm thinking I want to use this new skull icon that I've got. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, guys. I'll catch you in my next video if you want to come hang out. This was actually really awesome. I love like just chatting about it and watching these videos and learning so freaking much. I feel like I'm learning so much. It's insane. All right. Oh, geez, sorry. Catch you guys in my next one. Bye.